So I actually met Camila Cabello on 2 separate occasions. The first time was last September after her performance on the Today Show, and the second time was this past May during her Never Be the Same tour. But before I get into how I met her both times, I want to explain how she became the one person I hardcore stan. In late 2015, Camila dropped her first solo single with Shawn Mendes titled I Know What You Did Last Summer. And in early 2016, when she was still a part of Fifth Harmony, her voice was very distinct in their latest single, Word From Home. Those were the 2 songs I put on my radar in terms of rising artists, although I didn't know if her collaboration with Shawn was a one-off thing or rather a test of how the general public would receive her. But in late 2016, she released a collaboration with rapper Machine Gun Kelly called Bad Things, which peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. From then, I knew she was going to be the next big thing for pop music. And lo and behold, in December 2016, she left Fifth Harmony to pursue her solo career. It took 5 months of waiting, but in May 2017, Camila finally dropped her debut single, Crying in the Club. At the time, I really did think it was a bop, not gonna lie, but in retrospect, it really didn't show off her true potential as a solo artist. Some critics pointed out that the song was meant for Sia, one of the co-writers of the song. Others pointed out that it sounded like any other pop song at the time, which I believe the trend was tropical pop, otherwise known as trop pop. The song drew a lot of heat and controversy for sure. However, in August 2017, Camila dropped 2 songs, OMG and Havana, in which the latter has had much success, obviously, internationally and domestically. An audio video with 1.2 billion views, a music video with 667 million views, a Spanish remix with 97 million views, and an MTV Video Music Award for Video of the Year. I'd say she's on fire with this song. I was an immediate fan of Havana when the song dropped before anyone hopped on the bandwagon, and that is when I solidified myself as a Camila stan, or as she likes to call them, Camilizers. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's get to the real reason why you clicked on this video. So, like my video about my Hailee Steinfeld concert experience, I entered the Today Show's email lottery for a fan pass. In short, a fan pass allows you to bypass the general admission line for a specific Today Show summer concert. I honestly thought there was no chance I would win, especially after winning a fan pass for Hailee's concert, but hey, my lucky streak continued, and I won a fan pass, both for me and a guest. I was on a bus ride home when I got an email saying that I won, which was about a week before the concert. As expected, I freaked out, and I began to desperately search for someone to be my +1. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any friends whose parents would let them go with me to the concert, especially since it was extremely early. On the day before the concert, Camilizers began lining up outside of NBC Studios at around noon. Initially, I panicked, but then I realized I had a fan pass, so I thought I was good. But later that night, Camila tweeted out this and this contest announcement. I shortly realized that not only were some general admission people who were already in line would receive meet and greet wristbands later that day, but there would also be at least 100+ people in the VIP line also with wristbands, which take priority over the Today Show's fan pass holders. Well damn, I guess I won't be getting that close to the stage like I did with Hailee. A fellow Camilizer, let's call her Angela for the sake of anonymity, DM'd me on Twitter at around 2 p.m. the day before the concert. We talked about how crazy it was, stans were already lining up, and in the end I ended up offering her my second fan pass since she was only general admission. Angela got to the line at around 8 p.m. and there were only about 30 to 35 people in the merged general admission / fan pass line, and so I attempted to sleep early enough so I could wake up at 2:45 a.m. the day of the concert. At 2:45, I woke up, ate breakfast, and checked in with Angela. Angela informed me that a new line had formed across the street next to the Rockefeller skating rink for VIP holders, aka winners of the Shazam contest that Camila tweeted out, and that the general admission line and fan pass lines were still merged. My mom and I drove to Journal Square Path train station in Jersey City at around 3:30, and I boarded a 4:15 train to 33rd Street. By the time I got to 33rd Street, it was 4:47, and I missed my D-line subway train to get to 47th to 50th Street station, which is the closest subway station to Rockefeller Plaza and NBC Studios. So I ended up running a couple blocks in New York City close to 5 in the morning. I DM'd Angela asking her for her phone number so I could find her easily. At first I thought the line was starting outside of Nintendo World like it normally does, but it actually started behind the stage next to the Bouchon Bakery because apparently the SNES Classic console was released that day, and so people were lined up for that outside of Nintendo World. I found Angela, who was hanging out with some new friends, including a girl, let's call her Rachel for the sake of this video, who I swear was Camila's younger doppelganger, and Rachel's mom. Angela and Rachel informed me that shortly before they arrived in line last night, a rep from Camila's team distributed the meet and greet wristbands that Camila tweeted about, and they had just missed them. At this point, it's somewhere between 5:15 and 5:30 in the morning. Sometime in this period, Camila's manager Roger comes out to Snapchat the lines of people who are eagerly awaiting to get into the stage area. He approaches Rachel and her mom and notices these cool custom-made t-shirts that look like unofficial Camila merch. Roger was so impressed that he felt like giving meet and greet wristbands to Rachel and her mom, but unfortunately he had to hurry back to the studio before he could give them any wristbands. He said he would be back, but he never returned. At around 6 a.m., security begins to usher Angela, Rachel, Rachel's mom, myself, and other fan pass holders into the stage area after the VIP winners, of course. After going through body scanners, we saw that we actually weren't too far off from the edge of the catwalk, maybe like 10 to 20 feet away, and so I felt optimistic. Camila comes out, the crowd goes wild, basically Stan Twitter come to life, does her rehearsal / sound check, and yeah, all is good. Surprisingly, it turns out I got on camera a lot after watching some clips online, so that was pretty cool. I'll probably show some clips right now.
Camila Cabello! We're so happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be here, and I just want to say thank you so much to all of you guys.
I have someone here named Faith.
Hi,
Faith has not ever seen you live. She's freaking out. So can I bring her a little closer? I know she's close enough, but
Yes,
come on,
please.
Faith.
Come
with
with
me.
me.
Come on.
Camila was so sweet to her fans. After every song during soundcheck, she would take selfies, sign autographs, interact with everyone when she wasn't so busy, and that's one of the reasons why I love her so much. So after soundcheck concludes at around 7:15, we all wait until 8 a.m. for the real performance. Camila's setlist ended up being Havana, Bad Things, and Crying in the Club. Unfortunately, due to copyright reasons, I can only show you guys the video and not the audio from the videos I took. Hopefully it'll suffice and you could probably make out the energy that the crowd is feeling. Her performance of Havana was simply amazing. I was at a loss for words how she used her platform to not only advocate for the Dreamers and the whole DACA situation, but also bring attention to the recent devastation in Puerto Rico brought on by Hurricane Maria. I noticed during her Bad Things performance that ahead of the barricade I was leaning on, there was a large gap in the VIP section for plenty of people to fit, since everyone crowded near the end of the catwalk. Other people began to slide underneath the barricade, so I did it while everyone was distracted during Bad Things, and so during Crying in the Club, I went from being 10 to 20 feet away to being 5 feet away, just like during Hailey's concert. The concert ends at around 9 a.m. and security begins to flush everyone outside of the stage area after Camila signs stuff, takes selfies, etc. This part is where the magic happens. Angela and Rachel both had a lead on where the meet and greet was located for people with green wristbands, and so I followed them to the NBC Experience store behind the stage area. Security at the store shooed anyone who didn't have a green wristband, but Rachel and her mother persisted, saying that Roger, Camila's manager, promised them wristbands but never returned. At this point, Angela and I are staying as close as possible to Rachel and her mom, saying we're with them, since this is pretty much the only chance we have at meeting Camila, and fortunately they were cool with it. Some guy who works at the NBC Experience store came over and said that unless Rachel and her mom could contact Roger, there was no way we could meet Camila. A bunch of other fans were bummed out too and just waited for a miracle outside the store. So for about 90 minutes, Angela, Rachel, and I stood outside and the two were just venting about how unfair the situation was. Meanwhile, I was silent. However, a miracle did kind of happen. At around 10:30, some girls come around the corner near the Comcast building and suddenly have green wristbands when they clearly didn't have them before. The three of us asked where they got them from and they said Roger was straight up giving them away. So we ran around the corner into the Comcast building on West 50th Street searching for Roger, but instead we found something else. It turns out that the NBC Experience store wasn't the true location of the meet and greet. It was actually just a checkpoint for security to escort a few groups at a time to the shop at NBC Studios, another store inside the Comcast building. We found the exit of the NBC Experience store just when a security guard was escorting a group to the meet and greet location. So what we did was, Angela, Rachel, and I managed to blend into the group and follow suit, trying to draw the least suspicion. At last, we reached the meet and greet location. Unfortunately, the security guard stationed there was checking for green wristbands as well. Angela and I were caught and taken out of line, but Rachel was discreet and fortunate enough to stay in. The guy who works at the NBC Experience store, who told us to get into contact with Roger, spotted us and was watching us closely just in case we were potential threats. Angela and I contemplated our options at that point, and I was seriously ready to throw in the towel. It wasn't worth getting escorted out of the building by security. Suddenly, Roger walks out from where Camila is taking photos and into the shop itself. Angela and I run into him by accident, and he tells us to remain put while he searches for his wife in the shop. I honestly thought he was going to ditch us at that point because, well, what manager would want to deal with crazy fans like us? But he actually did come back. We politely explained how we were looking for him just in case he had any extra green wristbands for the meet and greet. Turns out he was giving them away if people knew who and where he was, so he was totally cool with giving us wristbands if he had any extra. This is where things kind of go south. In Roger's pocket exists one green wristband and a white slip containing instructions on where to get wristbands, which was pretty much useless because they're all gone. If he found an extra, he promised he would give it to the person who didn't take the green wristband he was already holding. Angela said I could take it, but damn, she really should have taken it for herself. So I took the green wristband. Security let me back in line, but the security guard who took me out of line the first time looked at my wristband thinking it was already cut, when it clearly wasn't. The sticky part wasn't even peeled off yet since I was shook and I didn't even get to put it on. I felt really bad for Angela though. She gave me her fan pass and asked me to have Camila sign it, but the staff said she wasn't signing any items. At last, I took off my backpack, gave Camila a big hug, and man, was I shook. It did not feel real at all. We took a cute picture, and I told her how much emotion and soul is put into each of her songs, and how I was looking forward to her debut album. The exit lady gave me this signed picture, and I left the store. I lost track of Rachel after she had her picture taken, but eventually Angela came out only with the signed picture in hand as a consolation. I felt really bad after that. She had been waiting since 8 p.m. the night before just to get a signed picture. I mean, I gave her the fan pass, but I felt like I could have done a lot more to help her get a picture with Camila. Before I left to go home, I told Angela I was sorry that I couldn't get her closer to Camila. She didn't express any anger towards me, which I thought was pretty strange, considering how my actions may have been perceived as selfish. I left the Comcast building and ate lunch with a friend who had just finished college classes that day, and we took the Port Authority bus home as I looked over the photos and videos I took. Crazy experience, right? I mean, I couldn't believe it myself when it happened, how something that insane would happen to me, let alone in New York City. Okay, so after that experience, I told myself that when Camila releases her debut album and hopefully a debut tour, I would immediately buy whatever VIP package she was selling, because at the rate she was growing in popularity, it was gonna be really expensive down the road. I made that mistake with Ariana Grande back in 2013. If I recall, her VIP tickets were around $150, and with the recent release of Sweetener, you bet $150 is going to be the norm for nosebleeds. So I bought the Diamond VIP package, which included a Q&A before the concert began, a meet and greet, an exclusive VIP badge, and now that I think about it, a poster that I never received. The total was around $250, but honestly, anything less would have made it a waste of money. And here's why. Camila's concert was on Friday, May 4th at Terminal 5 in Midtown Manhattan. I actually skipped school to get a good spot in line, and fun fact, I only missed 2 days of school during my senior year, and both times were for Camila. I get to Terminal 5 at around 1 p.m. and there's only a few people already in line. I swear to you, I saw Angela again, but after that experience 8 months ago, I tried as hard as I could not to make eye contact with her. Anyway, it was an excruciating wait in line. I had to wait 5 hours outside just to get into the venue for Camila's Q&A, and then I had to wait an additional 2 hours to get into the stage area where the tour opener, Bazzi, was performing.
Hi!
Hi!
Are you excited for tonight?
Yes!
How many of you have seen the show before?
No.
How many of you have not seen the show before?
Once we entered the venue for the second time, all VIP holders were escorted to a room upstairs to take pictures with Camila. Staff was really strict when it came to sneaking in electronics to get more pictures with her or any audio recordings, so I decided not to chance it and just left my phone on the table behind the backdrop. Once it was my turn, I hugged Camila. This time I was taller than her because she wasn't wearing 3-inch heels, and we got our picture together. It was literally only 10 seconds, but getting to hug her again was honestly worth it for me. The picture of us is on screen right now. I actually paid someone on Fiverr to touch it up for me because when the pictures were initially released online, it came out super ugly, and I gotta say, he did a really good job of fixing it for me. Afterwards, I went back downstairs to the concert viewing area. I was pretty close to the stage, maybe 5 to 10 feet away, just like when I saw Camila on the Today Show. I could have been slightly closer, but this girl who was in line with me the entire time wanted me to buy Camila merch for her using her money, but I stood my ground knowing that the merch line was way too long, and by the time I got back, I wouldn't have a good viewing spot once I returned. And keep in mind, Terminal 5 is standing room only, meaning I had to stand longer than I already did in line. I think I spent around 7 to 8 hours total standing. Needless to say, my back and legs were absolutely killing me once the concert was over. So after Bazzi does his thing, we wait about 15 minutes before Camila can come out and do her thing. I can't play the audio because, like I said before, copyright issues, but what I can do is play you guys the videos I took during the concert. My arms were also killing me at the time because I was literally holding my phone like this above people's heads and recording. But as cliche and dumb as it sounds, Camila's music distracted me from the fact my body was aching and basically kept me going. I think my favorite performances from her that night included Never Be the Same, Consequences, Scar Tissue, In the Dark, Real Friends, Know Better, Sangria Wine, and obviously, gotta save the best for last, Havana. The big question you're probably asking me is, was it worth it? And my answer to that is yes, it was. Obviously, my answer would be an immediate yes if an artist as big as, let's say, Ariana Grande or Taylor Swift performed that night. But because Camila is on the rise right now, some people may think that this experience didn't justify the price I paid for it. I think it did because, well, 1, I love her music and what it stands for. 2, I got to meet her again. Some people who might be even bigger fans than me might not even get to meet her at all in their lifetimes. And 3, Terminal 5 was a small, intimate venue. Maybe a little too intimate considering everyone was piling on top of each other and the room was full of body heat and sweat. Also, there was a dude behind me who almost peed because he couldn't hold it and the crowd was too large to fight to get to the bathroom. But one thing's for sure, had I paid regular admission, which was around $50, I would have instantly regretted it because I would have been at the far back of the room and I would have not seen Camila at all. That's my take on that experience. I probably won't go to another standing room only concert just because my legs have had enough. Yeah, that's pretty much it. How I met Camila Cabello twice in the span of 8 months. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Hopefully you'll stream Camila on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming service you use after this video. If you like this video, please leave a like, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more weekly content, and make sure you tap that bell icon to receive push notifications the instant I upload a new video. That is all for this week. I'm Jeric, and I will see you guys soon.